Okay, y'all, forgive me be patient with me over here on Facebook. I am going to let Anthony live, and I'm going to see if I can just put it in front of the camera so you can see it as soon as he gets on. Did I do it right, Anthony? Hi, Christy Sparks. Yes, I love Anne Graham Lotz as well. Oh, no. Okay, hold on. Let's see. Waiting for Anthony. Now it says it's connecting. There he is. Hey, Anthony.
Hi.
I'm
Hey,
holding
everybody.
you up over here so that they can see you on Facebook as well.
Hey, Facebook. What's up? Hi, Chris. Oh,
Anthony, could you just tell us for a few minutes how you felt today when you were up this morning watching the feed and realizing that it wasn't going out? Tell me what was happening in your heart and mind.
it's literally like a feeling of being like in some ways, an assistant manager at Disney World when it opens and there are lines that are way too long, but you only have two people working the little beep thing that lets people in. It's the same panic you would feel at the gates with thousands of people, and you can only let in like 3 at a time. It was just, and I can't control it. Like none of us can control it. But I just felt, I felt bad. I was basically in my head running through the line going, everybody, it's gonna be okay. We promise to let you in. Does anybody need lemonade? Does anybody need anything? Like that's how I felt. I felt like wanting to make sure everybody was good. But I also knew that Lifeway would have it handled soon, and that we would be on together very, very soon,
Yes. And so what many people do not know is that not only were you leading worship for us this morning, but you were also part of Lifeway's team on the broadcast side. You were also helping to produce the event and make sure that everything went smoothly today. So how are you able to balance those two things?
Well, I have great people around me who help me do that. But yeah, Lifeway, obviously in quarantine, you can't send a team to do this stuff. So we kind of have this whole little production arm, and so we called Sherman James, and then we just kind of made it work with the team here. Everybody, you should see us. I'll post some behind the scenes pictures of everybody in masks and trying to mask and gloved up and trying to make sure. So I would lead worship and then put on a mask and gloves and then try to make sure Priscilla was set up. And then that's just what we wanted to make sure that this event happened.
Yeah. Okay. You said that the name of really your production company, because part of what you do is not just lead worship, but you also love to produce events of all kinds, ministry events and other kinds for television or for broadcast. It's just something that you're really good at. So you mentioned that the name of your production company is Sherman James.
Yes.
So would you just describe why the name of your production company is Sherman James?
Am I being interviewed by my sister right now? Like
you
an
are
official,
being interviewed.
you can't help it.
I'm on Facebook Live and Instagram Live at the same time. Can you believe it?
I know, I can't believe it. You are Crystal Hurst right now.
I
love it.
I'm our sister who does this every day.
Yes.
Okay.
So Sherman James, our dad's name is Arthur Sherman Evans, and my mom's dad's name is James Bassel Canning. So Sherman James are my grandfathers, and it's a
okay. Wait.
Oh.
You said that so fast. Could you slow down and just say that one more time?
I'm trying not to hog your whole thing. Arthur Sherman James is Arthur Sherman Evans is my dad's name, our grandfather, daddy. And then my mom's dad's name is James Bassel Canning. So Sherman James are our grandfather's names because they made decisions to follow the Lord and change the whole trajectory of our whole family's life. And so now every time I produce an event or whatever, I think about it's a ripple effect of they didn't know when they decided to follow the Lord. It was going to end up being events like today where we get to minister to 55,000 or whatever, how many people are on. So that's what I think about when I do this, is our grandfathers.
That's the best. That's the best.
Yeah.
And one of the things that many of you may not know is that those of you that did get a chance to watch, and all of you that will have a chance over the next 30 days, the final song of the gathering is Fighting for Us. That's the name of the song that Anthony sings. If you've never heard Anthony sing that song, you need to download his whole last record whenever you have a chance. Did I say record? Does that make me old? If I
No,
say
it's like a nostalgic. It's like a throwback thing. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay.
Okay. Yeah, it's like wearing tie-dye. It's kind of.
Okay. So it's called Altered but one of the songs on there is called Fighting for Us. And Anthony, would you please tell everybody just why the song Fighting for Us is so special, you know, to our family?
Yes, well, a little over a year ago, we were at the National Religious Broadcasters Convention with our parents. Both of our parents honoring our dad, who was both of them really, who were being inducted into the Hall of Fame for religious broadcasters. And I sang this song right before my dad got inducted. But that was also, which was a beautiful moment, but that was also the same night after I sang that song, they called us to their room to tell us about my mom's diagnosis with this cancer they didn't know how to deal with. So that song inadvertently and on accident became, my mom was like, you were singing that over me that night and you had no idea. You know, you had no idea that you were reminding me that in this tragedy, he was fighting for us. So that became a theme song for my mom for the year. She said she would listen to it all the time. We'd listen to it together. I don't like to sing things that are just like, you know, commercial and these make sense and people love them. But in this case, this is a whole nother level of, it is one of my mom's, our mom's favorite songs. And so when I sing it, it's from a different place. I'm experiencing the Lord fight for us. Priscilla's last talk today ended with her laying out the timeline of the last 2 years of our lives. And I sing that song from a place of, I'm believing this in spite of the circumstances. And now, you know, this whole quarantine, I'm believing that he's fighting for us in spite of what is going on. And I want to say another thing because I had coffee and I talked too much. Hey, Jerry. Oh,
Go
no,
ahead.
go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, you said you wanted to say something else. Go ahead. The people want to hear what you have to say.
Kind of, except for they're on your Instagram Live. No, we talked about our grandfathers and the Sherman James thing, but I just rewind to the beginning of my career when I wasn't gospel enough and wasn't contemporary Christian enough. I was in the middle and they were like, you're not commercial, but it made me have to go off and figure out how to do everything myself. I didn't know. I could have quit or kept going and just figured out this is my calling, whether it's commercial or not. And I had no idea that God was setting me up to do things like what we did for you guys today back then. I had no idea. That I wouldn't know how if everything would have worked out the way I thought it was supposed to way back then. So that's just God setting you up.
Yeah. Okay. I want to make sure that y'all didn't miss what he said. Back when he was like 20 years old, he sang at Liberty University, then came out of Liberty University and traveled with Truth, which was like a contemporary Christian music group back in their height was like in the 80s and 90s, would you say?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. But of course you came into it towards the 2000s when you were coming out of college. And then when he went out on his own and was signed by a record label, he wasn't gospel sounding enough for gospel records to pick him up and gospel stations to pick him up. And he wasn't contemporary Christian enough for the more, what do you call the kind of stations that play that?
It's really just contemporary Christian music. It's more formulated and kind of
it wasn't, he didn't fit that box and he didn't fit this box. And I remember Anthony being really frustrated during that time because any of us who feel like God is calling us to do something, but then you don't fit here and you don't fit here. And there's really no place where you feel that you fit. That's the only way to put it. You don't feel like you're kind of being appreciated or absorbed into any sort of industry or sort of appreciation by a group of people. That's where he was. And he really had to decide whether he was going to keep going or quit and give up. And he kept going. And as a result of continuing to go, since he didn't fit in any industry, he had to learn how to produce his own music. So he produced his own sound, he produced his own records, invested in them himself. And because he did that, he learned how to produce. So now you not only produce your own things, you're still producing your own records, literally sitting in a studio with headphones on while you produce the background vocals and everything, but you produce other people's albums, you produce events, you produce all sorts of things. So God was actually preparing you for more breadth, even in the disappointment. He was preparing you for something you didn't even know you would need.
The setback was a setup. Come on, somebody.
Come on and preach to the people. He said, for you on Facebook, he said, the setback was a setup. Come on, somebody ought to write that down and say amen.
Ooh, tell them that you get your illustrations from me.
I do get, Anthony just told me to tell everyone that I get a lot of illustrations from him. That is the truth. Anthony is an illustration master, just so you know. He gets that from my father. I'm not too shabby at illustrations, but Anthony is like right off the top of his head. He'll come up with illustrations that are incredibly meaningful. So Anthony, what's one that comes to your head right now that God has been teaching you during this season of COVID-19 and quarantine and all that. Give us a illustration that's on the top of your head right now.
Well, one that's coming to my head is because I'm sitting here staring at you on this computer with your hair. And every time I look at your hair, I always have this thought of 20 years ago, or whenever it was, that you cut all of your hair off. Like there was breakage, there was damage, there was all this stuff because you were putting stuff on your hair so it would look like what everybody expected you to look like. And in putting on those expectations actually caused damage to you. Now what we know now is this girl with 2 feet of hair hanging from her head that's just, perfect. But what you had to stop doing is allowing people's expectations to make you put things on you that actually ruined you. And in addition to that, you had to cut off the old to experience the new. And the new was actually the way God made you. The way God made you was way better than what the adding to it could do. Like your Priscilla with nothing done it's more glorious than anything you could add anything to. So that's the illustration I thought of while I'm staring at you looking at your hair.
Well, and that's very true. You remember the trauma of when I cut off my hair, but you're right. It was something the Lord did my. So, okay. Thank you for that, Anthony. Okay. I do want to tell everybody.
You said, okay, thanks. Bye.
No, I do want to tell everybody because you've asked about our t-shirts we had for Lifeway. Lifeway always has t-shirts that are available. When you go to the digitalpass.lifeway.com link, you'll find that you can find there the t-shirt that you're looking for. And many of you are asking about the t-shirt that Anthony had on as well, Faith Over Fear, which I love so much. Where can they find that, Anthony, or more about your ministry and music?
They can go to anthony-evans.com, anthony-evans.com, and then it's all right there.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, before you get off, I see Beth Moore right there saying that she's so sweet. Anthony, I think before you get off, you should just sing a blessing over the people, especially Beth Moore, because Miss Beth would not let us get off this live without you having to sing.
Hi, Miss Beth. Yeah, for sure. Okay, wait, did you want me to sing right now?
Like for seriously.
Oh, okay. Praise God from whom all blessings flow. Praise Him, all creatures here below. Praise Him above the heavenly hosts. Praise Father, Son, and Holy Ghost.
That was awesome. Thank you, Anthony. It is great to be able to do ministry with you.
Yeah, I love you, Priscilla.
You see Miss Beth? Miss Beth said, come on now.
I love it. Somebody better praise him.
Yeah, so Miss Beth is pretty Pentecostal, right?
She's one of us in her soul.
In her spirit.
We're all one. I didn't mean that. You know how I meant it.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Bye. Bye, Jerry.
Well, you hear my